Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here for this meeting of the town. You thought that was funny, right? He couldn't give me the high sign. This meeting of the town board of the town of Carmel. The date is Wednesday, July 8th, 2015, and the meeting tonight is a town board work session. But before we get started, we're going to have the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And Councilwoman McDonough, would you lead us? So everybody please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence for all the men and women who are fighting for our freedom. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Sue.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you for being here this evening, and thank you all at home for watching this town board meeting. Once again, it's a work session. So the first item on the town board work session this evening, before I continue, all board members are present with the exception of Councilman Lombardi, who couldn't be with us this evening because he had a prior commitment that he had to be at tonight. So first item on the agenda is a review of the town board minutes of June 17th, 2015. Unless there's any board members who would like to discuss those minutes, we'll move on. Okay, number 2 on the agenda this evening, Councilman Jonathan Schneider. This is to consider amending the town code in regards to a property maintenance law. Jonathan, you want to take this away?
Yeah, thank you. This is something that was brought up a couple years back in regards to a lot of the properties that had not been maintained in accordance with a lot of the local code. The problem that presented itself was that we didn't have anything on our town's books in order to recoup the man-hours that we had put into it. The only thing that we're presently able to be paid on is the actual cost for the maintenance. The amount of man-hours that gets put into actually tracking down the property owners, getting them to comply with the code, it takes a lot of hours. So this code is something that if we were to put on our town books will give our judges the ability to impose penalties for these non-compliant property owners if it's not able to be remedied directly from our building department. Again, it's really something that is just going to allow our court side the ability to impose a fine that is, and in here it's structured based on how many offenses you have, but it's going to be up to the judge's discretion. All that this is going to do is actually allow the town the ability to recoup some of that money. It's something that I had brought up a couple weeks ago when Mike Carnazzo was here, and he had cited about how many hours he worked to get this property brought up to compliance and how we weren't only able to recoup the funds for what it actually cost on the maintenance. So this would just take care of that loophole, and it would allow us to be a little bit more efficient with how our man-hours are spent and how we're able to recoup some of that time. So this code that I had referenced is a code that was amended in 2012. I had forwarded off. It's something that was brought up by Massapequa Park, and they had brought it out specifically in regards to the same concern, which was they noticed a lot of properties that were, at that time, bank-owned had gone into disrepair, and it became very difficult to get the banks to comply. This was what they instituted in order to recoup some of those funds for what they had in the man-hours spent. So if we were to put it on the books, it would allow us, not us, but it would allow our legal system, our judges, the availability to say, you're imposed this fine in addition. And I believe, Greg, correct me if I'm wrong, but it is something that could also be carried onto the tax lien. So if the sale of the property occurs, that it's something we recoup in the sale.
What you have here is the imposition of the responsibility for the property maintenance to the mortgagee, as opposed to what we have in the property maintenance law now, which goes to an owner, a landlord, a tenant, an occupant, or a contractor. But it doesn't extend as far as somebody holding a mortgage interest in the property, which is what this does. In theory, that's what it purports to do, and the board has to look at it, make sure that that's the route it wants to go down. And yes, if it's incorporated into the code the way we write the property maintenance law now, if there's a cleanup and there's a process that's followed during the course of the cleanup, then you can ultimately have the cost of the cleanup, if it remains unpaid, assessed on the following year's tax bill. So if the board needs to let me know in terms of what its questions are or any proposed modification to the law, we could set it for a public hearing. But there would have to be a provision parallel to the existing property maintenance code that allows for us to do that, which is part of what we wanted to do. But I think what Councilman Schneider's idea was to impose some of the responsibility upon the mortgage holders, especially in the circumstance of vacated foreclosed properties or bank-owned properties. And obviously to be able to recoup some of the costs, what are soft costs of the building department's efforts in getting the properties into compliance, not just the physical work done on the site to clean it up, but there's steps that the building department and its personnel have to take in order to do inspections, to solicit proposals, to investigate and the like during the course of a situation where we have a complaint about a property that doesn't comply. So it encompasses all those things. We've had it, I think we've had this particular model one before us on a prior occasion. So if the board has comments on it or revisions, I can incorporate them. The process obviously would be we'd set it for a public hearing. And after the public hearing, you can make a secret determination. You can consider passing it in that form or some technically similar form. Substantively different, you'd have to renotice public hearing.
Yeah, I think it's a great suggestion, and thank you, Councilman Schneider, for bringing it forward. But there's a lot of work that goes into the property maintenance law that is done by our building department and our code compliance officer that, you're right, we don't recover the cost of their labor and their time and effort, the soft cost that Greg mentioned. I know the one property that we're all familiar with up in the Hamlet of Carmel, I know Mike and his staff has put a tremendous amount of work into that in coordinating with the contractor that's going to be going up there and actually physically cleaning up the property. But our
Process of doing that right now, I think. We're
Yeah, they are.
just getting to that now after several months.
it took several months.
Haven't
yeah.
physically cleaned up.
Yep, and also special counsel, I believe, Joe Charbonneau, he was involved in that process as well. So there's a cost for all of that. And you're absolutely right. The town shouldn't have to bear the cost of that, on a property that is either in foreclosure or just has been abandoned, and bank-owned and things like that. So I'm in total agreement with you, Jonathan. So whatever we need to do, Greg, to move this forward, I know we have to, write the law. We have to.
Right, this is a model that we're working off of, but if you're inclined to considering acting in general in this form, obviously there's some technical changes that have to be made, but the substance of it is what I want to be sure that the board wants to do. And my understanding is yes, but I just want to make sure, and then we can notice it for a public hearing.
Yeah, and there were a lot of other municipalities where I had referenced their property maintenance laws, and this one seemed to be the most extensive. It helped to really alleviate the town of any possible unforeseen burdens that may arise from the enforcement side. So it seemed like it was the most comprehensive, and it was the most updated, being amended in 2012. So it's the reason why I thought this was going to be a good model for us to instead of reinventing the wheel, which for a 13-page town maintenance code, it's something I don't want to do.
Yeah, no. Did Mike look at this?
Mike's had
John?
this for a while.
He's had it for a while,
Yes.
right?
Several months.
Okay, perfect, yeah, I think it's great.
I'll forward
Well, I'll
it
look-
back to the board with requests for any comments so I can incorporate them into the version that will be noticed for a public hearing.
Great.
Okay,
Sounds great.
Yeah,
Thank
For
you.
the record, Mike
Perfect.
supports this. He definitely does. There's no
Yeah.
question about it,
Yeah.
So
No,
again,
it's
thank you,
good.
Jonathan, for bringing this forward.
No, again, I'm glad that it was brought up a couple weeks ago, and we're all in support of it, so
Yeah.
thank you guys,
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah, no,
Good.
you're welcome. Thank you. Okay. We can do, yeah, okay. All right, we're gonna jump up to number 5 on the schedule this evening, and this is to consider a request to waive the notice of requirement in Section 64 of the New York State Alcohol Beverage Control Law with respect to a liquor license for Prado Trattoria Incorporated, DBA Prado Trattoria. So, Board, you have the request here there was a property that had transacted, it changed owners up in Putnam Plaza.
Putnam Plaza, yeah.
It's the old Pasquale's, I believe,
that's
and
it.
these are the new owners, and that's going to be the new name of it. So they're applying for a new application for a liquor license, and they filled out the application. Looks like it's complete, as far as I'm concerned. Counselor, if you want to look it over, and if you're in agreement with that they've completed the application to our standards, or to the questions on the application,
Okay.
and you recommend that we can move forward with this, then,
Right, you couldn't do it till I believe the next meeting's going to be the 22nd. You need to do it by formal resolution at that time. But yeah, you do need to consider that for any new application. And unless you have a particular objection, it just accelerates the 30-day period. Obviously, the state liquor authority does its own investigation and determination on the application as well.
okay. All right, board members, any questions, comments regarding the waiver?
No.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so 2, 5. Rich is here. Yeah. Rich, welcome. All right, Rich, do you want to just handle it from the podium? Okay. Yep, yeah, that's fine. This is to consider contract amendment to the multimodal number 4, New York State grant application extension.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, grant approval extension.
Yes.
Okay.
We already, just so the board knows, we did this last year also. In 2008, the town of Carmel obtained a grant from the New York State DOT for $100,000 pedestrian and lighting improvements in downtown Mayapack. To date, we've spent about $73,000 of the funds on streetscape elements, apologize for that, including stone walls, lighting, and sidewalks. The remaining balance of about $30,000, $25,000, are earmarked for the lighting improvement project on the south side of US Route 6. So the existing agreement is for this project expires on July 31st, 2015. We have requested a one-year extension from the New York State DOT, and they have granted it to us with an amendment for the extension to July 31st, 2016. At this point, we request that the town board authorize Supervisor Schmidt to execute the contract amendments and any supporting documents necessary for submission to the New York State DOT.
Perfect.
Okay, pretty self-explanatory what we're doing. Any questions, comments by the board? No?
No.
Okay, thanks, Rich. Let's go on to number 4. This is consider accepting a proposal for the emergency beam repair in Carmel Water District Number 2.
I mean, it's not.
Separate trend, the operators of Carmel Water District 2 have alerted the engineering department that the steel beams which support the treatment plant roof are in need of immediate repair as shown in the following photographs if you see in your attachments. STS requested quotes from certified welders and only received an attached quote from TAMS in the amount of $19,800. The work entails the replacement of a single beam and plating the remaining beams, minimally 4, by a New York State licensed welder. We spoke with the town controller, and she indicated that there are sufficient funds in the Carmel Water District 2 budget. This repair should be performed immediately as there are concerns for the safety of the workers in the plant. The department requested the town board authorize the purchase of this unit at a cost of $19,800, and that this week will be on the next voting session.
You know,
Okay, all right, Rich, and I'm glad to see that they're going to be plating the other support members as necessary as well.
Yes, sir.
So they're going to be making this repair, but they're going to be inspecting and going to be making the necessary support repairs, if you will, plating to the other beams
Correct.
while they're doing, okay, all right.
I just caution, I don't consider this an emergency, so to speak. It is a health and safety issue, but it can wait the 2 weeks for the town board to do a vote on it. The concern would be more in the winter.
Snow load.
Snow load. Right now,
Oh, okay.
I'm not worried about load
Yeah.
on that, so we should be okay.
okay.
All right, what is this?
The invoice here that I'm looking at includes sales tax. That would not be part of it, correct?
We will not pay sales tax. That was just what they put on it.
Sure, okay.
Hey, Rich, just one question. On the bottom of our backup here, was this just something that was cut and pasted onto this memorandum?
The gross typo of $62,000.
Yeah, this-
It's $19,008.
Okay, great.
No,
Thank you
I-
for that
I-
clarification.
No, it's typo.
I've been looking back and forth, like, I only see 19.8. Where is?
19.8. 19.8 is the number. That was a typo on my end.
Well, that's where I was looking
Yeah.
at the sales tax, and then I'm like, all right, are they tripling the number?
So it's 19.8, okay.
Yes, sir. I can resubmit the
I thought we were
memo
buying
to the board.
another commuter. I thought it was a couple weeks ago, wasn't there a price of $60-something thousand?
No,
So I
that was
thought,
for the clarifier drives.
oh, to clarify.
Yeah.
So
not the
I
commuter.
cut and paste from that particular memo. I apologize.
And if
All right.
Francis- oh, that would
Okay,
be
Rich,
good.
All right.
thanks. Stick around, because I think this, the woman that's here that's going to be speaking,
Okay.
she referenced the town engineer. This is Mrs. Mary Kay Wells.
He's saying it's not.
Okay, so
Yeah,
stick
I do
around.
have to go back to planning, but I will wait here for you.
Yeah, all right. Why don't, Mrs. Mary Kay Wells? Okay, would you come up to the,
I can ask my mom.
item number 4? Oh, okay, all right, sure. So you're using your 3 minutes for number 4 on the agenda? But that's for a beam repair up at Carmel Water District Number 2.
Yeah, just have it come up to the
you-
microphone.
I'll bring it to you.
Ann, is the mic on?
We talked about, my issue with water district. This is water district number 2. Again, we're doing an emergency repair, which seems to be the mode of business for the town of Carmel in terms of water
It's
district.
the meeting on TV.
My district is number 7.
Watching the meeting.
Now, I got the paper.
Ma'am, I just want to, I believe you reside in Water District Number 9, not 7, 9. I just want to correct that.
Thank you.
Yeah, well,
Okay. We found tons of money, as again, in my opinion, mismanaging town funds when the super police chief retired. And that's just another, in my opinion, the town is not careful enough.
Ma'am?
Of the water district.
I was just gonna say. We didn't find that money for the former chief when he retired. That money has always been set aside. We always set aside money for potential retirees. So yes, we did pay him out, but the money was in reserves, and we already accrued that money and gathered that money in the past, just like we have for any other town employee who is going to retire, come of retirement age. We've set money aside, so we didn't find that money, but we did have it.
But they're letting our water districts fall apart before we fix them. I think that's a valid.
All right, thank you. Yep. All right, thank you, Mom.
In my water district,
All right, thanks.
my water,
Okay, let me go, thanks. Bye. Yeah. Yeah.
that West Lake Boulevard, number 11 Sycamore Terrace, and all the people on that area have a new water line that will not be replaced. So what I'm asking is that my road be fixed and that we're talking about public safety, Mr. Attorney. And I've already contacted my attorney. This on not the town not repairing my road. And again, engineering can confirm there is a 2-inch ledge down the middle of my road. This is not only my safety, I got some, but it's a public safety issue. This road needs to be fixed. Now, I don't like every week. And you got back to me on the, my inquiry. He has no, what's it gonna take to get my road fixed? It could be a very small project. Mike says he won't do that. But,
Rich, can you shed some light on this?
Yeah, so I apologize for sitting at the DS, but as you know, there's no other microphone. So I've spoken to Ms. Wells in the past, and the town board may or may not be aware of the situation that's going on in Carmel Water District 9 There is an ultimate plan, part of a capital program that has not been submitted to the board yet, but will be submitted shortly, to do the repairs of the water lines in Carmel Water District 9, to remove a bunch of the 2-inch galvanized pipe, which is pretty much, we're fixing and, spot fixing all the time, which is a problem, and we know that, and we want to get it done. Mike will not repair the roads, because if he repairs the roads tomorrow and then we go out and rip them up, it defeats the purpose of Mike repairing roads. So we're kind of in the chicken and an egg point right now. But the goal is to have the capital plan submitted to the town board and the work to be done either in 2016 or in 2017 at the latest. That's the goal right now. So I've explained that to Mrs. Wells in the past.
That you're not going to replace the water line that runs in front of my house, correct?
We have not put that plan together yet to do that, so I can't confirm or deny that at the moment.
You said you were there when the new water line was put in.
No, ma'am, I've only been in this position for about a year and a half, and I've lived in the town since 1999, but I don't know what would have happened in water districts up until the point that I started working here.
Was it Rob?
No, ma'am.
Who's Mr. Gahina?
May have-
It might have been the prior engineer, if it was 2 years ago. Is that when you had the garbage issue? That would be Rob Vara. He's not an engineer, but he is in the engineering department, correct?
Ma'am, I'm sorry, can you move over in front of the microphone? Just in front of the microphone, so they can't hear you in the studio. Thank you.
Okay, before the 24th and 30th. Oh, well, I didn't set up the microphone.
So can you
So it's on
have
here.
him confirm to you that that water line is not going to be replaced? I cannot deal with this back and forth of highways not touching it. And the other thing is, there's potholes.
Yeah, but these may not be working.
That's why,
No, he didn't set them up.
and he won't touch
No.
it. So,
Mike pays where he pays.
Ms. Wells, all I can say is that Mike will treat the paving as the entire area, regardless of if the pipe was done on your road or not. I'm not aware of that pipe being replaced on your road. I can verify that information for you. However, Mike is not going to go and just do one road. He's going to mobilize his equipment and do the most amount of roads when he can, and he's going to wait for the rest of the water district to be repaired. No, the most amount of roads that he can when he does the water districts, after we do the water district.
what about potholes?
That you have to speak to Mrs. Simone about.
Yeah, Mrs. Wells, just so you understand the makeup, the town board has no authority over the highway superintendent. We cannot tell him to go and do a job. We're not allowed to, because he's an elected official, just like we are. So we cannot go and tell him, Mike, we want you to go do this. I just wanted to make sure that you understood that also. I know it doesn't help, I'm sorry, I know.
That I am so tired. All I want to do is live out the rest of my time
Yeah,
in my house that I have put so much into.
yeah.
What, Mrs.?
The potholes are really bad up there?
I'll
We'll
talk-
we'll take a ride up there and see, the potholes. Maybe at least we can get the potholes done. We'll see. But we have no control over that.
With the other engineer, that water line has been fixed. And, this has to be public record, that if, in fact, I or anyone else in the neighborhood gets hurt on that road, you're liable.
Mrs. Wells, I'll speak to the highway superintendent tomorrow. Him and I will have a conversation about it. I'll let him know that you came in and I'll express to him what your concerns are. Okay? All right, and we'll take a ride out, and I guess, Susan, we'll take a look at it also.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, you know, it takes her a lot to do this.
Okay, the Sunset Concert Series, the next concert at the Chamber Park is tomorrow evening, July 9th, and it's the Big Easy. It's a Dixieland Jazz Band, New Orleans style. So tomorrow evening at the Chamber Park at Route 6 and 6N in Mahopac, there will be a Dixieland Jazz Band. That's tomorrow night, the parade also, right?
Parade's tomorrow night,
Yeah,
just
and-
love it there.
And the Mahopac Fire Department's annual Fireman's Parade and Carnival starts tomorrow evening as well. The parade starts at 7 p.m. They assemble on Route 6 over near Wallhour, and Wallhour and Clark Place, and they march east on Route 6 right to the firehouse. And the carnival starts at 7 p.m. Well, the parade starts at 7, so the carnival will probably get underway shortly after the parade is completed. So that's also tomorrow evening. So tomorrow evening, you have the concert in the park with the Dixieland Band, and then you also have the parade tomorrow evening along Route 6 for the Mahopac Fire Department Fair and Carnival. So I think that's all I have. Yep, that's all I have for this evening. Does anybody else have anything?
No,
Any announcements, John? Any-
the Nerds are Friday night. Sorry.
The Nerds?
Yeah, at Putnam,
Putnam National.
Putnam National.
Putnam National?
Yeah,
Are you gonna,
just letting you guys know.
are you gonna make an announcement, or are you gonna
I met
just?
with
I thought
the,
it was on, I didn't,
Susie, I met with I met with the Nerds earlier tonight,
yeah.
and they promised they'd all be there at the concert on Saturday. It's Saturday, right? Or
Friday.
Friday.
Friday night, yeah.
All right, yeah, the Nerds all said that they'd be there, so.
Yeah,
Don't
not
laugh.
bad.
All right, anybody else? Okay, all right, we don't have executive session this evening, so I need a motion to close the meeting.
So moved. So moved.
So moved by Councilman Schneider, seconded by
Seconded.
Councilman Lupinacci. All those in favor? Aye. Good night, everyone. The next town board meeting is going to be on the 22nd, because we will not be meeting next Wednesday, which is July 15th, because we only have, I believe, 2 voting resolutions for that meeting. So what we did was we moved that voting meeting to the 22nd. So on the 22nd, we're going to have 2 meetings. First, the voting meeting, and then the second will be the work session scheduled for July 22nd. So good night, everyone. Be well. We'll see you on July 22nd for town board voting and work session. Good night. Be well.